Ladies, gents, it's tough making ranks out here, that's for sure. We've been on a little bit of a slide, unfortunately, after getting down to 232 with that cracking 1,052, going back to 264 and then 323, and those updates were pretty rough. I went from 297th post-game, the Knights game to finish off the round, then into 311th after the first lot of updates, and then into 323, so that's pretty tough to unfortunately lose 26 ranks when you're inside the top 300, but nevertheless, we are sitting with 3 trades to go, and we'll give you a little bit of an idea on where we will be at. But firstly, before we get into it today, we're going to be joined by Bevan, who came on a few weeks ago when he was in 19th. He's actually moved all the way into 5th position. So we're going to hear from him, and hopefully if you are part of his competition, you don't listen too hard to what he's going to be trading. And then also Will from the NRL Fantasy Fanatics YouTube page and Instagram page there. He's in the private group as well. He's joining us also to speak through his team and a couple of things that he has learnt as well. So stick around for that following this part of the video. But my team, Starling, unfortunately, a little bit of a slide the last few weeks, but we'll still thank him for all the efforts he had for the month prior. But my big issue here was the fact that Fainu with a 16, Watson with a 7. They were my biggest problems this week, unfortunately, which cost me getting near that sort of 970, 980 type of range there, unfortunately. I did end up having the foresight to be able to loop Cotter, which I spoke about in one of the previous videos, but I then played Fainu instead and got one less point, so that was pretty tough on that front. But yeah, it obviously allowed me to do that loop, and most of the time that would work out. It was just a safety loop, really, to make sure Cotter played pretty well. And we know that most of the time he does. But in this one, he had an absolute shocker. So down at a 17 there, and then moving into a bye is pretty rough there for sure. But had a cracking game from my South boys, which I'd hoped for in a game against the Tigers. They all did really well. Obviously, Gray has been spectacular for me. I bought him under 300k, and he's out to 585 now. So been a great pickup for me a couple of months ago, and he's going to play the rest of the season, which is awesome. Teddy with a nice bounce back. Karaz and Cotter have been my holds for the year. And then brought in Galvin very early, obviously, as well. He's been great. So, unfortunately for me this week, missing Watson, missing Drinkwater, and also missing Ruben Cotter. Hopefully everyone else plays, and Colin Matangi was down at the end of that game, and I hope he's fine. But if everyone else plays, I do have 18 this week. Scratch that. I have Cleary as well, obviously. I need to trade. So I have 17 if everyone else plays this week. So, with 3 trades remaining, we've got a little bit to do, obviously, here. 77k in the bank. I could potentially make a couple of trades this week. It's something that I'm looking at. Cleary at 923. I can get him down to, obviously, anyone in the game. And really, Isaiah Yeo would be the perfect replacement. But my big worry here is the fact that there's obviously a good chance that he does have a rest right now. Had one of the other boys there mention someone like Jerome Luai as a fun option. You've got Burton. You've got... Obviously, DCE is probably where I'm likely going to go, coming up against the Tigers this week. But then we also have guys like Pat Carrigan. We have Cam Murray. These guys to help me out in that mid position, which is what I need right now for sure. So they're going to be the ultimate focus is one of those mids this week, especially with Cotter and Watson out. At minimum, well, I don't need a mid at minimum, but that would mean Plath, Fainu, and Willison as my mids. When other people have Isaiah Yeo, Adam Fanua-Blake, Cam Murray, Pat Carrigan, Mitch Barnett, I think I'm going to lose out a little bit. So I do think I'm going to make a bit of a push this week to make a couple of trades and get myself in a really good position back in the top 300 and saving myself one trade there. And there are almost 200 people, unfortunately, that will get in there and have a look at that while we're here. 200 people just under that, unfortunately, have no trades remaining. Yeah, just under that 200 mark at 195 in the top 1,000 that have 0 trades. And if we were to change that to the top 500, given that's closer to where I am at this point, I'm very glad that that's the case. Still at 1.7 trades, but top 500, there is 95 people with no trades left. So they'll be sitting there with Cleary as a looper for the rest of the year. And there's also 154 in that top 500. So 250 basically with 1 trade or 0 trades left. So basically half the people in and around me and well in front of me there as well, sitting in that position. Another 125, so all the way up to 375 people that have less trades than me. So I'm going to end up, after this week, hopefully doing really well this week with the ability to do some serious looping with 3 guys out, and hopefully can get a good score and then hold on through that last 2 weeks. And The reason I might be looking at 2 guys is the fact that I think round 26 is going to be the hardest week for myself, given I've got, guys like Hughes, I think is going to have a rest. I already have Fainu and Galvin. Teddy might have a rest at some point, round 26 and round 27. I think round 27 I'll be able to cover easier, given I've got no Wars. But this week I would likely be selling Samuel Fainu. He would be the guy that I would move on this week, and hopefully can get him up to a Carrigan or something like that. It's for almost 200k, but if Cleary goes down to one of these guys and banks me some cash, then I think I will definitely have enough to get to a Carrigan from a Fainu and get one step ahead of the game, because he's going to be missing next week. And we don't really want his scores at the moment anyway, apart from that 60 odd a few weeks ago. Thanks for that there on that one. But overall, pretty much most of my guys did well. I was happy with almost all their scores. Obviously, Cleary getting injured. It was just Fainu, Watson, and Starling that weren't great. Greg Marzou was completely fine with a 44 in the end. Garrick, 43. Not the best, but for what he's priced at, it's not too bad. And then White the same at 43. So pretty happy on that front overall. Let's quickly have a look at the top rankings. And we do see Bev coming up shortly. He's in 5th, which is awesome. And he's at 20,664, which is less than 150 points away. So he's 142 away from Peter in first spot, who has a chunky lead right now, almost at 40 points over Kushla. And then Maddie is 90 points behind Pete there. Christian above that. So congrats to all you guys having a banger of a season, that's for sure. And we also have, who else we got down here? Riley's Rages, Riley in there, which would be cool. Matt, awesome. Good little crew in that top 20, that's for sure. Very, very fun out there on that one. So that is the overall rankings and where guys are at. And once we get some more information for footystats.com, we'll be able to get that further information on where trades are at in that one. All right, we do go to the grand final next week. Myself versus my partner, Aisha. Can't wait for that. I wonder how she's going to get me or not. She's got Carrigan coming back, which is going to be a big one, and I'm going to try and get Paddy in the side. So wish us luck on that one. It's been an absolute domination at the top there. I end up in first spot with 5 wins on the trot. Good stuff there on that one. Nish in there in second. So we're four wins clear of my brother and Scoopman. So tough times, guys. Tough times, that's for sure. Let's move on to the private group. Shout out our top guys because we have so many in the top 100. It's incredible. Bevan in first there. Liam in second at 31. So unfortunately went back a few ranks, but still an incredible spot with Mitch at 38. We have Shane in there at 51 with a solid 970. We then have Don in at 62 with a great score as well. Hayden's in at 64. So we have 6 in the top 64 is crazy. Nicky's at 82. Jack's in there at 84th, having a cracking season now as well. And then Richard in 92nd. And then a little bit further down, unfortunately, outside the top 100. But hear this story. We've got 9 in the top 100. And Anthony was outside the top 1,000 just 4 weeks ago. And he's made an incredible move into 112 in just 4 weeks. So can't wait to hear more from Anthony. And I'll get his footy statistics team analyzer page up. Might try and get him on the page as well, because it's an incredible 4-week run of whatever it is there. But he's overtaken. Max, unfortunately, is moved down to 11th, but still a solid score at 948. But him and I have been the biggest whingers, unfortunately, in the private group right now with Watson there at the moment, since we both picked him up that week and went for the pod. He's absolutely cooked us. So Max was in that top 100. He's pushed just outside that for now. And then we do move a little bit further back there. So we've got 11 players there inside the top 123. Been a cracking season there. And then Simon with a massive push there into 226. And I've moved back a little bit there. But congrats to everyone in that position. You're all doing incredible work. That's for sure. And just to check the leaderboard, obviously Bevan in there in first in the community league, but we do have Riley in there at second, who's currently in the lead to win a private group subscription for next year. So we have Riley in there, Jacob, and they're the 2 front runners there, and we'll see if Jarrah, Marcus, and Christian can catch up and give themselves a chance to get into that position of winning a subscription to the private group next year, which will be good fun. Battle of the Podcast. I did lose some ground, and we do have Nick there that's had a really nice week there at 1,026, pushed all the way up close to me there in that one, 55 points behind. And then you've got Stuart in there at 574 overall, and the casual athlete Daniel Long in there with an 821, a really tough week for Dan there, pushing him down to 867. And yeah, that's sort of where we're at the moment. They're the worrisome players for myself. They could come in and have some good weeks and take over. But Lucy, unfortunately, who was right at the top, along with Austin, both having some rough weeks there in the 800s, unfortunately. So, to be fair, with my score of 911, it it could have been worse, that's for sure. Because most of my players had a good crack. It was just those two low ones really that hurt me this week. So that's the fantasy side of things. I think we'll keep it really simple. Unfortunately, I lost all my head-to-heads except for the family one there. And congrats to Brad Malone for winning my head-to-head comp there for the JBFA head-to-head 21, which is good fun there on that one. All right, let's take it over to the boys now, who are going to talk through their teams with some of the questions there. So enjoy that. All right, Bev, back on, mate. We last time we had you, both myself and Will from the NRL Fantasy Fanatics there, which he'll introduce himself in a second. Right. You were 19th and down into 5th spot now, mate. Super excited about this. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big Bev. Welcome in, mate. And talk us through the last few weeks.
I probably watched more rugby league closer than I ever have in the last few weeks. So my wife thinks, the cheese has fallen off my cracker in terms of, my sort of almost religious sort of following of every tackle and every tackle bust and blah, blah, blah. But man, it's been a great couple of weeks, obviously. As I told you on the last time I was on, mate, last year I finished at 14,000th or something like that. So I'm still kind of pinching myself. I'm in 5th. I tell people about that. They who know NRL fantasy, they think I'm winding them up. But yeah, it's been great. But the last few weeks have been kind of stressful and not. Like you, I've elected not to trade over the last few weeks. You find your finger hovering above the T button, and sort of pulled myself back from the brink a few times. And just sort of trusting my team will maybe not knock it out of the park, but stay relevant and, hopefully to the right side of the median. So yeah, and definitely been lucky on a few. Didn't have Watson. Sorry about that, mate. So yeah, there's a couple of things that went my way. Guys that have been kind of up and down. Kolomatangi had a cracking round. Nakora had a really good round in the end. Even Galvin, who's been reasonably consistent, but he came through with a 60 in the end, which was great. Campbell, 61, take that as well. So some guys that are got a good game in them. They kind of, said didn't really knock it out of the park, but was on the right side of the medium this week, for example. So that sort of got me from 9th to 5th. So I'll take it.
Yeah, it's been nice progress each and every round, which is good. And before I ask a few more questions, we do have Will here, coach of the Gilbars in 1103 overall. And tell us a little bit about yourself, mate, and plug the YouTube channel while you're here.
Yeah, so I run a YouTube account called NRL Fantasy Fanatics. It's first year, and we've got about 750 Instagram followers. So pretty happy with how that's going. And we're looking to expand into BBL Supercoach also for this year, as
that sounds
cricket's
great.
pretty much my main.
Yeah, Will and I will I think we'll join forces a little bit in that even to have a league together, I think, with our fans. That'll be good fun. We'll speak about that as we get a little bit closer. But mate, a 960 for you. How's the last few weeks been for you? Has it been trending up or down?
Oh, no, it's been trending up. I've I think I was about 1.3 at round 21 and just kind of held, but yeah, pretty happy with where I am right now. I was up at 744 in about round 15 or about there, round 17. But going back in round 19 to just 2.1. So pretty happy with where I've been in the last couple of weeks. Couple of injuries in there, like recently with House going down for a season-ending injury, along with Max King going down, even though that was a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, you also saw Dylan Lucas had to go down. Max Plaff traded him just before he started going well. Ewan Aiken and Mitch Moses out for the season too. So yeah, it's been quite tough, but I'm pretty happy with where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. How many trades are for you?
Well, I used my last trade last week.
Oh, it's gone. Cleary, the 923k looper. How good?
Yeah, well, I was sitting in a private group and I looked at when Bev said something about holding Cleary, and I was just fiddling with it, and I think I could actually use him as a looper for the next 3 weeks. I know it is 930k and you would prefer to trade him out, but for me, there's also not many clear gun options this year to really go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too annoyed about holding him. And if he is back, if he somehow comes back around 27, I'll be very happy.
Yeah. No, that's fair. For you, mate, you've got what, Val out next week, Cleary, and then likely Cheekham, right? So you still have the
Yeah,
18 and
maybe Madison, depending on if he's
oh
back or
yeah,
not.
yeah. That's true. He's up there as well. Okay. So you
Yeah.
might still be able to field 17, but it might be around 26. It's the troubling week, I think, hey.
Well, I'll only be missing Fainu, and if I get Cheekham's due back around 26, along with maybe Madison, because he was listed
Yeah.
this week, so it can't be that bad. And I get Holmes back too.
That's true. Okay. Yeah, you might survive, which would be cool. Hopefully you can sneak into the top 1,000, mate. That'd be
Yeah, it'd be
awesome.
cool.
Let's sneak back to Bev's team there, mate. What potential trades were you looking at over the last few weeks? You're hovering over the trade button. Which ones were you looking to pick?
Couple, which I mean, in hindsight, I'm kind of glad I didn't. Tapane was top of my list of mids to bring me home, but didn't in the end because I just don't trust Ricky. He's got weird sort of rotations all the time. I think the other two that a couple Turbo I would love to have picked up 2 weeks ago. I guess I was right on that in terms of he's gone pretty well. The other couple I'm looking at now is Carrigan and Murray. I think they'd sort of add to my team really well. I've got a couple of choices with Cleary out. I could drop Plath into that halfback spot, or put Galvin in there, and then sort of shore up my my mids. My big man Tom Eisenhuth has been doing a job for me, but I'm probably the only bloke in the top, maybe even the top 1,000 that's got Tom Eisenhuth as a starting mid.
That's fair.
So yeah, he's kind of got me out of jail a few times this in the last 7 or 8 weeks. So happy with what he's doing. But yeah, I was thinking about either going Murray or Pat Carrigan's the other one. I think Pat, if I'm going to make a trade this week from Cleary to someone, it's probably going to be Pat. I look at the run that the Bunnies have got; it's slightly harder. Not that really matters in that mid position. In some ways, it's if the other team's sort of sending traffic down their channel the whole time, your mids probably score better. But yeah, I think probably Paddy might get the job. That's kind of where my head's at right now.
Yeah, good stuff. And at least this week you have a looper, mate, because last week you had to pick your 17 and you almost got it perfect, didn't you? With Drinky, the only one to miss out there with Curran obviously copping that bit of an injury too.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a brain fade there.
That's okay. At least one of your replacements didn't get a 10 or something. Like if Gray came out and got injured, you'd be absolutely spewing. But at least he still went well. Was that your decision, him and Gray, or was it more like a Curran or Drinkwater or Eisenhuth?
Yeah, I wasn't sort of sold on Drinkwater's form recently, which is silly. I mean, the guy's a champion player.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I'm with you.
So I sort of swapped Gray for Drinkwater, and then of course Iro went out, and I couldn't use him as a loop because by then Garrick and Carraz had already played, as had Howarth. So I ended up getting stuck with Howarth 28 points, which is not a disaster, but not ideal either. So yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, and you couldn't do too much else, could you? Because looping Howarth, and then you would have had to have one of either Carraz or Garrick in there. So you couldn't avoid that one, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people were in a similar boat as Will was saying, having a copper Talangi or something like that as well. So yeah, at least you can muck around with a bit of a loop this week. And would you be looking to make one or potentially a second trade if Curran was out for? Do you think for him is it 1 week or more? You might sell, like 2 or more, sorry, you might sell, or? No,
I think I'm hoping to only make one trade this week. I think I've got enough depth to cover the positions that I've got. And, anyone who's not playing, I mean, I've already got Drinkwater not playing, so I've got a looping option. So a little bit more optionality in terms of what trades or what, who to field. You wouldn't have thought staring down the barrel of 21 green ticks was such a challenge, but it's been an interesting one for the last few weeks. So yeah, I'm hoping to only make one trade this week. The strategist in my brain is sort of, even questioning that, is there some value in hanging on right to the death and sort of guaranteeing 17 on the field each week? I think 3 trades left, 3 weeks to go. Is that enough? Is that enough? I know that there's a guy in the top 10 who's got 5 trades left, you know.
Yep.
He's got to be a short price favourite to take this thing, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think personally you can leave it too late, because if round 27 isn't as bad as we think, with maybe round 26 being the tough one, then having those extra trades only probably, you know, is helpful for that week. Whereas if you can make a few extra points now, it probably helps you out with, you know, getting, you know, if you get Carrigan this week, you pick up that extra, let's say 20 it is on a Starling or someone at the moment, 30, 40 range. And then same next week, and then you get that 20 in the last week too. If they stay on the park, obviously. But I think if you leave yourself with 2 for 2 weeks, probably be okay. But yeah, there's definitely merit in both, right? Because you probably, unless you decide that maybe you're going to loop at the start of the week and then make a decision on this on that trade a little bit later, like during the weekend.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of looking at the optionality of you know who plays first and what you can do around that, and you know just put your question marks into that sort of looping category, and then keep the loop or make the trade. I think that's probably the way to go.
Good stuff, Bev. Thanks for jumping on, mate. We don't want to give away too many of your secrets because it is down to crunch time now, mate. But big thank you for jumping on, and hopefully it seems if we can keep the trend of every time you come on, you make ranks. We're all cheering for you in the private group. And guys, if you're watching in the private group, get down in the comments and cheer for Bev there. I know we all are in the private in the group chat. Everyone's getting around you, so good stuff. But Will, mate, got no trades left. Maybe a couple of lessons for the year for you, just to round this video out.
Yeah. I do think that I've had a pretty tough season, you know, but there was also a couple of like trades I didn't really need to make early on. Like you see, I traded Lukey to Mitch Kenny.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I traded Mitch Kenny out in round 6 after bringing him in round 3. And then it was like when that week that I brought in John Bateman when the week that Kai Pearce-Paul got ruled out, and the next week John Bateman did his peck.
Yeah, just been unlucky that one.
Yeah, brought in Cam Munster in round 5, and I had to trade him out round 12 because he was gone for a while. So I think there was I kind of brought in a lot of players just that weren't really buys. Like along Mitch Moses round 13, traded him out in round 20. Along with, you see out there, I've traded in Tohu Harris in round 16, traded him out round 18, traded Aiken in round 15, and traded out Aiken in round 20. And then
probably a bit unlucky to say.
Yeah, a bit unlucky, but also could have probably looked to hold Plath for a bit longer and that.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool.
But also think that I pulled the trigger really early with Jacob Little in round 12, and he's done a treat for me.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Val Holmes, I think I got him round 18, and he's done really well. So, you put those good trades with the bad trades, and they kind of equal each other out. And I probably just got to pray for the next 3 weeks that I can field a full 17.
Yeah, no, it does sound like you've had a lot of injuries and maybe more than others there. But yeah, you've obviously picked some good ones in there to get to that 1100 as well. So hopefully next year's an even better one for you, mate, and the channel can keep growing and you have a great time. So appreciate it, boys, for jumping on. I hope you guys watching like this iteration of our round results. We'll try and get someone on, whether it's just 1 or even 2 per week, and maybe one on to explain their trades at the back end of the week. So a little bit of a trial heading into what we're going to be showing next year in the private group as well. So thanks, Bev. Thanks, Will. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Yeah,
thanks, Jamie. Been great to be on again. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Really appreciate it.
Okay, we're back with my Supercoach team, and unfortunately a decent red arrow this week. Unfortunately, 548 spots down into 2,893 after a bit of a holding pattern in recent history, and picked up a 1314, so 1,314. Not too bad there, obviously, but there's so many 1,400s and 1,500s coming into this week, and I was sitting there with guys like Connor Watson, just really destroyed my week, unfortunately. So click through there and have a look at that. I had Hughes with 64. I played Tungo instead of McLean. Of course, he had scored a try and got 44. We had Garrick with 61, Watson's 10, Plass 60, Curran's 46. Just all low for me, unfortunately. The good scores started to come here with Lomax's 95, who I brought in, Fifi's for 77, and Greg Marzu's 74. Cleary 61 as vice. Thankfully, I didn't captain him. I did captain Turbo for his 105, so doubled that up. I had a Fanua Blake with an 80 was good. Tedesco with a 125. So I had the exact correct You had 2 guys at the fullback position without Ponga, for example, and had a couple of really good guys in the centre wing with Lomax's 95 and then Val Holmes 145, but down scores from Crichton, who I brought in a couple of weeks ago, and he hasn't scored that well for me. Tarpany with 49, and then Campbell with a try, picking up a 56 was pretty rough, and having Brayley 68, Kai Pearce-Paul 72, and then Casey McLean's 87 on the bench was a little bit painful, but at least I didn't have to take a auto emergency with Iro as a DNP. So a solid week. Didn't lose too much, but definitely didn't move in the right direction. And with 3 trades left, I think I'll be sweet this week. We've got a lot of guys available and ready to go. I've got Carrigan that can come straight back in. Curran and Cleary, I like. Cleary's going to be out. Curran probably out. We'll improve that Cleary spot, but the question is, do we make a secondary trade there, or do we just move things around and get the right guys back into our side, like Holmes out, play Greg or play McLean? These types of things there will work out as well. And I haven't selected my 4 reserves, as you can see, but Watson's going to be out. Maybe select Casey McLean for a bit of fun at this point, and projected still just a tick under 1,300. But 175k in the bank doesn't really help me when I'm trying to get rid of a Cleary who is 900. So I could already get anyone I wanted at the halfback position. It's likely to be someone like a DCE or something like that this week. So yeah, we'll leave that one there, and we'll go and focus on the head-to-head side for fantasy now. 857. Ugh, gross. Reed Marnie and Josh Curran, along with Ruben Cotter. What a disgusting little grouping there. But thankfully, it was some decent scores from Campbell, Colin Matangi, Galvin, Nickera. Plath was solid with 54. Having Drinky and Teddy was good there as well. But unfortunately, Ponga with his 36 was a bit of a downer there as well. And with Iro being out, I did have White in there, obviously, as cover for centre, but then Howarth at 28. So it would have just been, cop the 28 or make the extra trade. And sitting there with 2 left now, I didn't want to make that extra one just to try and improve this week. But the big problem here is it did hurt me with trying to win my head-to-heads. And that's where we're at this week. And thankfully, was able to win this one here, the Serato Sucks League and the League of Legends somehow. Oh, how did I do it all? I won by 3 points in that league there, and then got absolutely hammered, unfortunately, in the Amateurs League too, which makes sense, by 140 points there on that front. So lost 2 of them, and won 3 on, lost, well, Gargarov, I'm not in the top 8, so that's fine. I lost to Scoop on that one, Scoopman, with an 882. But won 3, lost 2. So I don't think we can complain too much about that. And that'll put us in a good spot, given I'm in the top 4 or top 6 there in the King's Cup. And 5th Amateurs League doesn't matter now, given I'm out of that one. But thankfully, I was able to get through on a few of them and get a bit lucky with a few other teams struggling. And now we should be sweet to make that trade or two and ensure that we can get in a really good spot. So once the fixtures come through, I'll sort all that out, and we'll get ourselves in a good spot to make some moves. But yeah, the big thing here is obviously Cleary, removing him from the side, and then we'll see what happens with Curran. I do have Drinkwater and Cotter out already. So, and sitting there with Talangi's 2 and Sipley, for example, I might have to make 1, or I have to double up and make the 2. So we'll see how we go. Likely 1 this week. I'd like to keep 1 for the following week, and then we can see how we go from there. So that's the head-to-head side this week. That is that whole video. Let me know your thoughts on, separating it by getting the boys on after my bit. And yeah, it was fun. I hope we can do that again. See you, team.